All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live with another episode of the Brownwater Banter podcast. I am Jared Seymour,
My name is Joey Cates.
and we're bringing you this edition from the internets because Joey's all the way out in Colorado on vacation, man. But he took time out of his vacation to jump on here, and we got a great episode for you today. We're going to be talking to Mark Davis from BigWater Adventures. It's a what, Joey, a fishing show, outdoor show that's on the Outdoor Network, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking to him about his show, how he got it started. I got a feeling it's going to be a great episode with some killer stories too. So, but before we do that, we always want to thank our sponsors, man. Southern Magnolia Smiles, Dr. Robbie Williams and his staff there at Southern Magnolia Smiles. If you're looking for a great local dentist, be sure to hit them up. They're on all the social platforms, man. Instagram, Facebook, at Southern Magnolia Smiles, or you can hit them up on their regular website, southernmagnoliasmiles.com, or give them a call on the landline at 228-215-1202. We're also proudly sponsored by Hill Tree Marketing. If you're looking for someone to do an overhaul on your website or build you one from scratch, go check them out. That's Jesse Hill and his team. They do web design, graphic design, photography, IT work, social media, videography, and aerial cinematography. That's hilltreemarketing.com. They recently just did our website, Joey and I's, at brownwaterbanter.com. If you want to check
Looks
out
good.
their work, yeah, it looks great. Go over to brownwaterbanter.com and you can see what they've done. We're super impressed, super proud of it, and they were a great team to work with. And then last we got our buddy Josh over at Faithful to the End. They do lawn care and pressure washing, man. They recently just came out and did my house, and I was super happy with the results. They pressure washed the outside, got it all cleaned up. Josh is a great guy. Their motto is that they treat their customers just like they would treat their mamas. So you need to check them out. You can hit them up. They're on Facebook, Faithful to the End. Just look them up, or you can give them a call on Josh's phone there at 228-282-2799. I believe that's an 8. Joey, can you help me out? I think it's 2798. I don't have my glasses
Yeah.
on, man. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
2798. All right. But so we want to thank all of our sponsors, man. They keep the show running and we appreciate it. So let's bring Mark in, man. Stop hearing me jib jab here. Mark, what's going on, man?
Ain't nothing to it, man. I'm just sitting up next to a gun safe listening to y'all get the show started.
Hey, that's no better spot than to listen or be a part of this show is right next to a gun safe. So we appreciate that. So, Mark, tell us about BigWater Adventures. You know, I'm kind of trying to get myself up to speed as well. Joey was telling me about the show, so I went online and looked you up and started watching some of your episodes. And to be honest with you, I was pretty much jealous right out the gate.
Yeah.
It looks like you're living the dream that me and Joey are trying to flirt with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's man, what it was supposed to start out being and what it ended up being, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And we're filming our 15th season for 2022. We're the longest running saltwater show on Outdoor Channel, and we've been around a while now. We go from pre-COVID, we go from Alaska to Australia, and we hit at least 50 species a year every season. Try to pretty much be a bucket list show. So if you watch 13 episodes, which is a full season, you end up essentially with what I would call a bucket list full of species. We try to hit the bill for dolphin, tunas, wahoos, and then even get into the exotic stuff where we go. If we go to Australia, it's never seen before. Go to Panama, Costa Rica, get the Cuba, roosterfish, and all the stuff that you can down and try to catch. So what I was trying to do when I started it was just start a big game nation adventure kind of show. And, it kind of evolved into really going to the best places, whether in the U.S. or outside of the U.S., going with the best captain destination, no matter where we go and what we do. And all you got to do is make a phone call and you can do what you saw us doing. So it's been really, quite honestly, successful, and very blessed to have gotten this far with the people that have helped along the way.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that was one of my main questions in the beginning. How did you get up with these charter boat captains and the guys that you go with in different states? Did you just give them a call and say, hey, I'm coming in to film this show, or how did that work?
Well, some of them, from the beginning, it was kind of really wanted to do a TV show, never planned on doing a TV show, never was going to do a TV show. I worked for a company called Shakespeare Fishing Tackle, and, the long and short story is I worked for them for 13 years, and during that time I did advertising and public relations for them, which managing the pro staff in fresh and salt water. So like on the freshwater side, I had a lot of the bass guys like Mark Davis, Amy Horton, and Mark Menendez and Clark, guys like that. On the saltwater side, I had a lot of captains and the locations that you see me filming now. So about 2007, 2008, a company came in and bought Pure Fishing, and later bought Shakespeare. And, we'd done everything right except for one thing. We didn't own it, and we'd grown dollars, and it was a great company to buy, and it was a great company to sell. And that's what happens. I took a look at really what was going on. And, that was about around the time that, so and some of the old guard was starting to get a little older, and really there weren't a whole lot of at that time. It was before Into the Blue and Saltwater Experience, and some of those guys had even started at the same time. And I just kind of looked at it, and you know what, I've been working on the print side, television side. I've got a background in advertising, and I've got all these captains and all these locations that I've built up that 13 years, and it just kind of came together up. And really now, if you look at it, like you get in y'all's neck of the woods, Mexican Gulf Fishing Company. I mean, I got on with them early on. Kevin Beach will tell you that there were two things he took away from the first time we filmed together. And one of them is he wanted to kill me. And the second one is he never wanted to do it again. But out and got edited. He took a look at it, and he's like, all right, I see a little bit what this guy's trying to do. And, that's really how it happens. Now, if I try to go to a new place now, it's a much simpler process. I just send them the DVDs, and I'm like, look, man, I'm 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning on Outdoor Channel. I've got a big platform, big following. I'm going to come in your backyard, and you're Superman. We're going to put a red, S on your shirt, and you're going to jump building to building, and we're going to film it and show it. So that was really where it was successful, was by not making it about me. I knew I wouldn't be able to carry a show that type of magnitude. I mean, when you're talking about Alaska to Australia, you're literally talking about everything that swims. And I knew that there was really no way that I'd be able to do that without a heck of a lot of, not help, but really the experts carrying the show. So I step on the boat with them. We pretty much go do what they do, and we show it to you on BigWater Adventures.
Yeah. I think we lost Joey. That's part of doing the internet show, but that makes a lot of sense. Joey, you're back, man. That makes a lot of sense.
This Colorado heat is burning my phone. The temperature went out on it again.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. That's all that entertainment coming through. It couldn't handle it.
That's it.
But no, so yeah, Joey and I, we kind of do the same thing. We didn't want this show to really be about us. It's more about the guests, right? And the people that we have on. And we cover a broad, range of topics on here, but with the outdoors being, probably the biggest one that we do, the most following that we have.
Sure.
But I like that approach. So in the early days, like when you first got it started, how did you build your team out in the video world, saying that you come from like a print background, and was the Outdoor Channel somebody you already knew, or how did that come about?
Yeah. So when we started this thing, there was a production company that was involved in it. It was actually through a company in Arkansas called Pradco. So one of the, they've got Cocktail, Smithwick, Bomberhead, and a bunch of different companies. And one of their holdings at the time, which I don't think they're still in business now, was Commonwealth Productions. And we kind of decided, I was still at Shakespeare. What it was going to be the first year is it was going to be, we had bought pins. So it was going to be pin reels, ugly sticker rods, Pradco. I mean, we were pulling together almost kind of doing like what you see with a Strike King Pro Team Journal now, where they're showcasing products and stuff like that. But what, the hand grenade in the middle of it was that Shakespeare got bought. And, we looked at it after the first year or two, and we decided, let's try to make this thing a standalone deal. So that production company carried it for a couple of years. And I ultimately decided, I really want to try to make something out of this. I want to make it essentially what the vision I had of it, which is, a big game. It's not really all big game. It's really more destination adventure. But the main thing that I saw happening was, we've got some of the best, in my opinion, in the world at every location that we go to. And I just wanted to make it bigger and better and, more people watch it. So I ended up buying the whole thing out and essentially carried pretty much a camera and production guy is about all we had. And what would really blow you away is if you saw behind the scenes, even now with BigWater Adventures, my wife's my business administrator, and I've got, one production guy in Fort Smith, Arkansas that uses a couple other production companies if we get too heavy into production and don't have the time. I've got 1 or 2 cameramen that I carry around, but it's really, it's a really big looking production, which is the epitome of small business. And quite honestly, everybody does a great job at what they do, and we don't need, that's kind of what allows us to have the business model that we've got, because it's a pretty expensive business model to go all the places we go and do all the things we do. Type of shows that we get takes a good bit of time, effort, money, energy, stuff like that. And by keeping lean, we don't have near as many people trying to eat from the apple, and it allows us to spend more money on it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Technology has adapted, or I should say evolved enough to where it makes these types of things a lot more smaller scale, I guess. And like you say, you can outsource some of your production, video editing, I'm sure, and stuff like that to other people. So that's really cool, man. Paul Miller's in the comments here below. Let's throw that up there. He said check out the episode that he did with BigWater Adventures.
You caught that slob tripletail.
Yeah.
That was honestly, I don't really have words for that thing. As big as that thing looked on television, doesn't do it justice. It'll never do it justice. It was a manhole cover with 6 inches of freeboard.
Well, speaking of that, I have 3 pictures I want to show, and then I actually have the video. I think it's like the teaser from that episode. So I can let me show you the pictures that I do have here. I don't think that's the Tripletail, but that is a Tripletail. I don't think that's from that episode.
Yeah, that one was actually, what was interesting about that fish you're looking at right there was 2 weeks ago, and that is a lower Pacific Ocean Tripletail. First one to ever come to Tropic Star Lodge, and they took that fish and essentially carved it up and sent it away for research, because the thing they wanted to know about that specific fish, I'll put it to you this way, it'd be like y'all, hitting a rig out in the Gulf of Mexico and catching a rooster fish to them. They'd hardly ever even seen them, and as close as they were in proximity to the Panama Canal, there's 2 subspecies. There's the Atlantic Ocean side, which on their side is the Caribbean side, and then there's the Pacific side. And not only do they virtually never see one down there, but they were, it's a toss up as to which subspecies it was. So they were pretty excited about that one. Obviously having not seen the manhole covers that y'all catch on a regular basis, and that slob we had from last year from Paul Miller.
Well, what's hanging out of his mouth, man? That's not a traditional tripletail bait for sure.
No. It was kind of funny. That's a sly dog, Halco sly dog. And I mean, I've caught everything from tunas, dolphin, even had wahoos come up and take a shot at that thing, cut me off. But when we threw that thing, we found this floating piece of basically it looked like a leftover reject from Waterworld, a prop or something. I mean, it looked like almost like a little city, and it was floating out there in the middle of nowhere. And of course you find that in Panama out off of Tropic Star, there's going to be some stuff on it. So I throw it in there and I catch a chicken dolphin, throw it in there, another dolphin, throw it back in there, and something blows up on it and it's brown. And I'm looking at it, and it'll be on the show. I said, I don't have any idea what that is. It fights, gets back to the boat, and I see brown. First thing I can think of is it's a grouper or something. Last thing in my mind was a tripletail, and turned out there were 3 of them were actually on there, because I threw back in there after I caught that one, and another one blew up on it and missed it. So we backed down and actually got some underwater footage of them and caught all 3 of them, kept 2 of them, because if you're wondering, why would you do that if they're so rare? Well, the reason we kept 2 was because we figured, okay, if they're both Atlantic, then all 3 of them probably were. We turned the smallest one loose, and we figured if they're both Pacific, then they're probably both Pacific, and the third one probably is. But if we'd have just kept 1, the researcher told us, yeah, y'all did the right thing, because if you would have just kept 1 out of the 3, I would have been a little upset, because it'd been a toss-up as to whether they were all from the same brood, or at least, the same running together. So that one was, that was a fish that shouldn't have been where it was, shouldn't have done what it did, and gave us an opportunity to find out, where it came from and, what its genetic side was.
Yeah. With all your fishing and all the, the destinations you go to, I'm sure the research that you do. Do you ever run into a lot of stuff like that where fish aren't supposed to be where they're supposed to be?
Yeah, and it's funny because the more we do this, I mean, if you stay with us over the seasons, we run into fish that shouldn't be where they ought to be. I mean, I had the state record mangrove snapper in North Carolina, but I have it currently, the record by default, because there'd never been one caught. And the funny thing is, on that show, I called it because I had been fishing in the Gulf of Mexico for mangroves and red snappers, American red snappers, the week before. And when that fish bit, and it's all live, I mean, we shot it start to finish, and I still got people saying there's no freaking way. That's the only mangrove snapper ever caught on that boat in that area around that, even in North Carolina. And I called it when I pulled the trigger on it, 90 feet of water. It started bouncing like a mangrove, short, quick, hard bounces, but not quite like a red. And I said, man, it feels like a 12-pound mangrove. And it was a 12-pound mangrove. And you could have hit the captain of that boat, Boomer Montgomery. You could have hit him with the face of a board when I swung that thing over. Because he's like, there's no way that just happened.
Is that a technique thing, you think, because you're used to fishing for that? Or is it just luck of the draw?
Well, in that situation, I credit my boys in Shem Creek in South Carolina, where I got my start on the head boat, because we used to have a kind of I guess you'd call it a game that we would play, where we'd pull the trigger on a fish. And the second we pulled the trigger on a fish, you could be in or out, and you'd bet money on what it was by the rod bounce, and winner take all on the pot. Or if three guys guess the same thing, you'd split. So we just, for fun, when you're out there in 200 feet of water, it could be an amberjack or a pink porgy or a jolt head or an American red snapper. It could be all kinds of stuff, but you get to paying more attention as to how the fish fight and what they do. That being said, that was complete luck, and I could do it a million years, but I did it once.
Right. Yeah,
yes,
I was asking more of the fact that you caught it, not that you called it, because that is pretty cool.
Yeah. We had we'd caught scamp groupers and American red snappers. Your typical ground fish, bonanza there in that same general area, but that was the only one we caught. And see, I was dropping my cameras down. I do a lot of underwater filming as well. So I had a camera on the bottom at 150 feet, and it had it down there for about an hour. And we had no footage of that fish, no clue where it came from. Didn't see it until it came over the rail.
Wow. That's usually what happens with a mangrove. They're sneaky.
Yep. Yeah. They are. And we're glad they're dead.
Yeah.
Let's throw this photo up here. Some people might recognize that style of fish there. What a beautiful fish.
Yeah, those are when you start getting into the mahis.
Yeah.
That's a species I love to fish for, but I can tell you I've kind of evolved on that, because the bait that was in that Tripletail's mouth, we've gotten to the point where one of my favorite things in the world, this is going to sound crazy, but my favorite fish now, after about 5 or 6 seasons of doing this, to catch on top water is the big Bull Dolphin. And you'd be amazed how you take a spinning rod out and you fish for them just like billfish. I mean, if they're thick and that they're around, you put teasers out with no hooks in them, and when you get them up and you see them, you throw that top water at them and they come up and smash it, and it's incredible. I had on that same trip with that Tripletail, about a day apart, I had one of the bigger ones that I've ever caught. It was well over 70 pounds on a spinning rod on a top water, and they're just amazing when they come up. Because you think throwing at redfish is visual, but you've got aquarium water, a fish that lit up in 25 different colors of the rainbow, and it comes up and brushes that top water right in front of the camera. And that's a neat one to go after. And I highly recommend put the 30s and 50s and 80s away and put your spinning rod on them, throw a top water at them, and watch what happens.
Yeah. I fished for them on some charters down in Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. So that's a fun day.
And fun to eat. There's about the only thing you can do with those things is overcook them. That's about the only thing you can do wrong.
Speaking of, I think we lost Joey again. I'm sure he'll jump back in. But speaking of good to eat, this is the last photo I got before we jump into that teaser video. But check this out here. That was another one I got off the Facebook page.
That was my buddy Raleigh working. And if you hung with us over the years, if you've been down to Tropic Star, if you ever saw, I mean, that guy's got a pile of world records. If you look him up on IGFA. And he passed about a year ago. It does my heart good to see that picture. That was his at the time, same deal, largest yellowfin tuna that he'd ever caught on a spinning rod. And that lasted about 20 minutes because that one was a little over 100, and he caught one about 170 on the next cast.
Wow.
And then we went back to the lodge because he looked at me and he said, I don't know if there's any bigger ones out here, but I don't want them today. Let's go. Buddy Raleigh and doing the same kind of deal. You'll hear me talk about Tropic Star and Peñas Bay a lot because, that's a neat place to go. There's a lot of things that you can catch, and they do it a lot of really unique ways. And one of the things they love to do is get on the mahis and the yellowfin and stuff like that and throw topwaters at them, which
yeah, that's a different technique, I guess, in the fight. I would imagine is crazy on a fish that size on a spinning rod, right?
Yeah, because it's dead boat, and ordinarily when they're trolling, of course, you're going to forward movement of the boat, but really about the only way you can whip them on, I'm usually using an 80 to 200 pound, like a Carnage jigging rod. And I'll have usually 8-pound Seaguar thread lock to 150 Seaguar blue. And, once they start pinwheeling, I mean, it's mono. I mean, if he starts his pinwheels down there a couple 100 feet, I mean, you're popping them 1.5 feet at a time. It's by the time you're done with it, it's all you want.
Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a workout.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we have,
I mean?
some of the baits that they took them down so deep, they actually, caused the baits to get water in them because it went through the pores of the plastic because those fish, ran from the surface down to 300-400 feet so quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense there. So look, the video clip that I have, I got it from your YouTube page. It's the one with Paul in it. So what, can you frame this up for us a little bit as far as this is this season, correct?
Yes, sir. The one with the giant tripletail?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, it is.
That's the current season that's airing, season 14. It's airing on Outdoor Channel right now, and it'll actually air. Outdoor Sportsman's Group owns Outdoor Channel, and they own WFN. So they'll actually air that same season. As soon as it stops airing July 1st on Outdoor Channel, it'll start airing the full season on WFN in Q3 and Q4. So
okay, cool. Let's play this real quick. It ain't very long. I think it's 30 seconds at most, and then we can talk more about it when it's over with. Let's check it out.
Sure.
That'd be my biggest tripletail ever.
Mangroves come right off the pile, and we knew it was about to be on.
Well,
following it.
Everybody else? Look at that.
Man, that was intense, huh? Yeah.
Oh, get him there. Oh, oh.
This thing is Jigungus.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was a stud.
That was a fun trip. The Mexican Gulf Fishing Company guys, of course, are my go-tos. I mean, you got just some unbelievable talent, and if it's in the Gulf of Mexico, those guys do it and do it well. And what we had done is we went down there with Captain Wade, Captain Jordan, and Captain Paul, and essentially the only thing that was off limits was yellowfin tuna, because I'd already done a show with Beach on yellowfins, and I couldn't go to Trinidad. Let's see, I couldn't go to Trinidad, I couldn't go to Australia, and I couldn't go to Canada. So I could go to 3 countries I'd planned on going. And of course, one of the first places I'm going to go is throw another bone to Venice, because you could do as many diverse shows as you wanted during a year. So we went back, and Captain Jordan and Captain Wade, I told them, I said, y'all do whatever you want to do. We just can't do yellowfin. And the swords, we just had a tropical storm that had come through, and it kind of silted up the deep fish. The deep drop fish weren't really doing it. The swords weren't really doing it. But those guys had some just hammer mangroves pegged, and quite honestly, we worked on those things till we were sick of working on them. And they were, I think we had 4 or 5 that were bigger than the state record mangrove I'd caught in North Carolina. Tells you what kind of fisher Louisiana's got. But Paulie was on I don't know. I don't even know how to phrase it. You say trip of a lifetime, you say bucket list, you say all these things. And I don't want to say I'm hard to impress, but I'm hard to get rattled. And, first tripletail I caught was, upper teens. We caught 2 more like that. I mean, just good, solid, big tripletails. Venice, Louisiana, they're solid average anywhere else, hammers. And he pulled the trigger on that big fish. And to make a long story short, which you won't see on the show, we were literally backing away to get that fish clear and pulled out. And 3 or 4 different times is trying to take him back. Paulie's cupping the spool. All we saw was one big roll. And then at one point in time, the fish came about half out of the water. And I'm looking at that thing thinking that cannot be as big, cannot be what I saw. We had a large net. We'll just say it was a large net. And that fish came up, and I kind of had to fold it like a taco to get it to go in there and grab it with both hands, get my arms underneath it. That fish hit the deck, and you know, me and Paul looked like we were in the silent movies for about 30 seconds. I mean, we're just sitting there just looking at it. He's looking at me, I'm looking at him. We're looking at the fish, and all I think I got a wow out, and that was about it. And Paul was highly conflicted with that fish because he didn't want to kill it, but it was the biggest he'd ever caught. And he was, you know, he's asking me, what do you think it'll weigh? What do you think it'll weigh? You know, it was a meal away from a state record. So, you know, we're looking at the fish, and that was just one where it was just too big, too giant. And, you know, that'll probably be the last Tripletail Paulie kills in his life, unless he catches 155 pounds. But, you know, for a fish that size, and to get it all on camera and all on film with the raw emotion that, you know, I mean, that was his unicorn with a drop time, man. And to get it on video and on film the way we did, that really one of the things I would tell you is the most fulfilling and rewarding with what I do with BigWater Adventures.
Yeah. That was an awesome show, man. For sure. And Paul's been on the show too, and from what I hear, his dad's like a legend in the diving world. We need to get his dad on for sure.
Yeah, you do.
He's the man. What I hear.
You do. And of course, you know, Paul did the prerequisite. What I hear or have heard in the last couple of years more and more often is, you know, I've been watching you since I was a little kid, and I'm going, I guess that's good. That means that I'm kind of getting the you know, the length of the show and the series. I mean, we'll have April next year, we'll have 200 episodes in, God willing. And that's when I get the BigWater Adventures tattoo on my back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
So yeah, that's pretty badass, man. The only other question I had for you, and you kind of maybe answered it a little bit on that last statement there, but you know, what is it like to live the show that you're living and do this full time, man? I mean, it's got to be a great experience, right? To kind of live out your dream, I would assume, right? Going from what you were doing with Shakespeare to now, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, it was a blessing. You know, to get real for just a second, when I bought the show out, I cashed in half of it. Okay. And I lived on a paycheck for 4 years, and my wife supported me by working shifts as a pediatric burn unit nurse. I mean, there was more to it, but you know, yeah, I'm blessed to get here and be where I'm at. I mean, it was one of those deals that to pull off the business model we have, and you think of the logistics of it, you know, Outdoor Channel, I'm their customer, so I buy my airtime from the Outdoor Channel, and the only reason I've had the 9:30 a.m. Saturday morning slot is because the ratings have been good because people watch it. You know, to get to that point, you got to put stuff out there that people want to watch. And I can tell you that there was about a 4-year period we were pretending we were in outer space, Star Wars, because it was tough to get here. You know, I put everything I had back into it, and without the partners and the sponsors that I've got, partners, you know, I always say it's a 3-legged stool, and the key to where I'm at is 3-legged stool. Of course, you know, one leg is going to be the sponsors, but equally important, you've got to have the numbers, and you got to have people that support it and watch the show. So that's the second leg. But what really makes BigWater Adventures work, vested interest in my partners, and my partners, besides my sponsors, are the Mexican Gulf Fishing, Paulie and Kevin Beach and Wade and Jordan and all their cats. Everywhere we go and everything we do, I'm there 50% for me and 50% to make sure I showcase where I'm at and what I'm with and make it as good as I can. So to get to where I'm at, I've got no illusions that people want to watch me shoot a slingshot. They want to watch the places we go, people we're with, and they want to see what I know I can give them if I just do my job and take them to the best places in the world with the best people doing the best stuff. So I'm blessed. There's no doubt about it. I worked my butt off to get here, but man, it take me 20 minutes to tell you of people that are also responsible for getting here.
Sweet,
including
man, that's awesome.
family.
I love that, man. Fully committed, and you took the risk. I don't know if the audio was clipping. He said he sunk his 401k into this, and the wife had to pick up some shifts, and so he was pot committed, and he's making it happen, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was funny. I went a unsecured line of credit from Arthur State Bank, and I told him what I'd been doing, and he said, "Why are you not trying to take out business loans for all this?" And I said, "Honestly, sir, I don't know if it'll work. And if it doesn't, I don't want to, declare bankruptcy and take your money. I would rather, I've got money in my 401k. It's supposed to be for my retirement. And if this works, I'll have retirement money. But if it doesn't, it ought to be my fault to lose it. So I'm going to gamble my money on myself." And he looked at me and he says, "How much do you need?" And I told him, and he goes, "I can sign off on that." I've been
Yeah. If more people thought that way, we'd be a lot better place. But I commend you for that as well. Where do people need to go to get in touch with you, to see the show? I mean, where are you active most on social?
Yeah, I'm easy. You can find me with BigWaterAdventures.com. It's got it where we're at. Now, if you want to check us out on an app and you don't have cable or you don't have channel or whatever, you can go to motv.com. Channels app. It's motv.com. And not only my show, but you can get show that's on Outdoor Channel and pretty much all the hunting shows, fishing shows, all that stuff. So it's definitely a good app to have because you can tap into not only what they're airing now, but like with mine, you go all the way back to all the seasons and go back as far as you want.
Sweet.
Awesome, man. Well, if you're ever in the Biloxi area and you want to stop into the studio and hang out and drink some bourbon with us, we'd love to have you back on. We can talk more about it.
I'll do it, brother. My cameraman's actually from Van Cleve.
Oh, wow. That's where we live.
He's a mile from Shed's Barbecue, boys. I'm local.
He's in our backyard then.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Well, like I say, you let us know. Open invite anytime you're here.
I appreciate it, brother. You guys have a great day, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, same to you. We appreciate it. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Oh, that was a good one, Joey. Technical issues aside, that was a good one.
Dude, this Denver heat. Every time I walk out there, the phone stops overheating. Man, I didn't think it was that hot outside.
You're from South Mississippi, man. I don't understand why it didn't.
You figure South Mississippi heat was worse than Colorado, but I guess not.
That's right. I was gonna do this at the beginning of the show, and I didn't. I forgot, but we did mention the Hilltree and Jesse and those guys that they did our website, brownwaterbanter.com. But if you go check it out, I want to flash on screen real quick. Joey just got the new merch in, hot off the press. If you want to help support our show and be a part of the Pelican Gang, as we say, you can go and get these new brown water hats that we just got in. I'm gonna flash them on the screen. There's a bunch of different colors. I'm gonna show 3 of them. This is the more brown. What is that, Joey? That's a gray.
Yeah, that's the gray.
Let me pull this down real quick. That's the gray there, and then we got a red. You said looks pretty good.
Red looks good. Yeah, we just got all these in. So,
and then look, what is it?
Come help us get some cell phones that won't overheat. Yeah.
Yeah. Help Joey upgrade his cell phone, man. And that Pelican's made out of what, Joey? It reminds me of I know it's a leather, pleather, whatever, but it reminds me of the seafoam deck that you put on a boat, is what it feels like.
It's a little bit like that. It's actually pleather is what it is. So
right. But they're Velcro back hat, trucker hats, and I'm wearing one right now with a different emblem on it. So jump over to the website and check it out. We appreciate all y'all for tuning in on the episode. We got some more cool stuff lined up. We're not gonna announce it yet, but we're coming up on episode 100 too. We're not too far away from that, and that's gonna be a party.
Yeah, I'll be back on then and have some interwebs.
That's right. Enjoy your vacation. I think we're gonna get 2 more at least maybe in while Joey's on the road with his terrible cell phone, and then
depending on what the weather looks like. I mean, what the internet looks like.
Yep. But thank y'all for tuning in, man, and we'll see you on the next one.
Later.